if you focus on spending as less as you can on these three costs, you can travel very long time and spending very little money.
Hola chicos， 今天我们请到我的一个朋友，一个超级旅行者 Franz。所以呢，我今天想要就邀请他来我的频道，然后跟大家分享一下他是怎么样旅行这么多的国家。现在他在台湾是他第117个国家，那我们现在就请他来分享我们的经验。Would you like to tell everyone like how did you start your journey?
So I was working about 20 hours per day in an office job, and I was thinking like, is it really worth to do what I'm doing here in this company? So I decided to take a 1 year sabbatical period and go back to work after 1 year. But then I started traveling and I just discovered that it's so nice to travel and there are so many possibilities. So I decided to continue this and now I'm doing it for 5 years.
So you never come back?
I came back home a few times just to visit family.
So what motivates you to keep traveling?
I think it's all about the experiences. As more I travel, as more new experiences I have. And having new experiences, it enlarges your brain. It makes you more open-minded, makes you more smart. It also lets you understand better society around you and understand you yourself. Just because I have so many new experiences every day, I want to keep traveling.
You've been traveling for 5 years. Do you feel like when you're traveling and you are not traveling, you are a different person?
I think while traveling, I changed a lot. Like I changed my personality. I learned a lot. I've been noticing this is really what happens when people are traveling. They forget society a little bit. So when they are back home, they are afraid of being judged by other people. But when they are traveling, they have no one to judge them, and they are in a place where they don't know anyone. They are kind of more open for doing new things, and they behave in a certain different way, let's say.
But for you don't have these problems.
No, I always behave the same. I'm the same person. I mean, I don't
really traveling for so long. So I'm sure like so many people will ask you how you afford to travel, because you must be, I don't know, rich. So many people will say this, right?
Very relative. So there are many strategies that you can make to travel for long term. So basically traveling, it's moving, eating, and sleeping. So you gotta focus on these three main costs and try to reduce it to the last. So the first thing I would say on the accommodation side, I do mostly couchsurfing. So 90% of the time I'm sleeping for free in the house of a stranger. So couchsurfing is a community of travelers where they host people or they get hosted around the world. When I'm back home, even if it's for 1 week or 2 weeks, I would host travelers in my house. And this cuts me a very big cost of traveling, which is accommodation. The second thing is transport. So you gotta move on. One very good way is hitchhiking. I did a lot of hitchhiking.
Like 搭便车.
So in Japan, in Australia, in Africa, all over. Also, I always focus on traveling by land because it's much more cheaper than traveling by plane.
You mean no flight?
I try to fly as less as I can. Only if it's very low cost, and then flight would be more cheap. But most of the time, going by land is cheaper. So recently I did a 43-hour journey from Kazakhstan to Mongolia, and this trip was about 1,500 kilometers and cost me only $30. And if I did the same flight, the same trip would be flying about 200-300 euros. If I go full hitchhiking and full couchsurfing, I wouldn't spend any money with accommodation and transport. And the last cost is food. There are ways of eating cheap. So you can cook yourself. So if I stay in the house of someone, I would cook something, and this would decrease my cost. I rarely go to restaurants. Only in Asia, sometimes eating in the street is cheaper than cooking at home. So these are the three things, and if you focus on spending as less as you can on these three costs, you can travel for a very long time and spending very little money.
I heard like you have 5 tips for travel more with less. Can you share with us with these 5 tips?
All right. So the first one is shared economy. Shared economy is a movement that got really strong in the crisis of 2008 because people had resources and resources were limited and people needed to save money. The companies like Airbnb, Uber started to be created to share costs. And this is the same idea with couchsurfing. It's kind of a shared economy where you exchange the culture exchange with the free accommodation. And you have also BlaBlaCar, where you can get to sit in a car from a small travel between one city and the other with a smaller cost. And also volunteering. So there are many websites out there, for example workaway.info. If someone needs help, you can volunteer in this place, get free accommodation and free food, and you help him, he help you, and you can travel for longer. The second one, it's about consume habits. Nowadays I change a lot the way I behave, I consume, so I'm not like buying always the last phone on the market. I don't buy more new clothes. I normally go to second-hand shop, which give me a much better value for my money. The third one, it's about the power of the money. So different countries have different currencies. You need to play with this currency power. So if you have the opportunity, try to find jobs in companies that countries that pay more, and try to travel more in countries that you're gonna spend less.
For example, like going to Australia to make money, and then you go to Thailand or Southeast Asia.
Yes.
Yeah.
For example, in India, you can get a private room for $1 per night. So if you have $365, you can pay 1 year rent. Fourth way, it's alternative ways of traveling. So you always need to think out of the box, figure out new ideas that would help you to save money. In New Zealand, I bought a car for $1,500, and I lived in this car for 6 months. And I sell it for pretty much the same price, so that means I saved 6 months of rent. And I did the same in Qatar. I booked a car because the cheapest hotel was $100 and the car rental was $20, so I slept in the car. And I also lived in a cruise ship for 6 months, working, getting money, and traveling around the Mediterranean Sea. The last one, it's like, if everything doesn't work, you gotta work, you gotta make money. So to pay visas, to pay other travel expenses. I worked for money in Australia and in New Zealand. I could save a good amount of money that could help me to travel for so long without working.
So basically you work for a period of time and then you spend the money.
That's my current strategy. Next year I'm gonna work in a ski resort for 4 months, and then I will spend the money from the ski resort.
Do you want to say something to those people who's watching this video? Do you have some message to them?
Okay, like a last message, I would say that I'm not here to convince everybody to quit their jobs and go travel the world, but traveling for me is something that really broadens my mind and really helped me to have less prejudice with people and cultures. It's really helped me to learn a lot about society and myself. I think it's really like a good school for any person to travel.
So I think like everyone really should just follow their path, because everyone's so different. Like Franz works, travel for the whole year, that works for him, but probably it's not work for everyone. For me, like traveling also is really good experience for the self-development and self-learning. Through traveling, I think I learned so much about people, about culture, and then I make so many friends from all over the world. So for me, that's also a really good way. How? So I will change to.
不知道。
好，那今天这就是我们的影片，谢谢大家的观赏。喜欢的话可以帮我订阅，然后跟 follow 我。那如果有想要听到更多关于 Franz 的Franz Explorer 是他的 Instagram， 我会放在这边。他会在他的 Instagram 分享更多他的旅行。那他之后他要去泰国，然后之后还会去奥地利，那他都会在他的 Instagram 去分享。那下次见。